Don't look under the internet.
One of them.
Yeah, you have been called a power bottom.
Beta top. See, people are talking.
He absorbs. They noticed.
People like me are saying real good things about people like me.
God damn it.
Well, what better way to start this off than that? Welcome, everyone, to Don't Look Under the Internet, a podcast
Then
where
Mike's rampant narcissism.
what better way to start the show than me?
Just me.
No, this is Don't Look Under the Internet, the show where we talk about the scary, horrifying things on the internet. I forgot. You say it. You fucking say it then.
We are an internet horror comedy. It's
Internet
3 fucking words.
horror comedy.
A horrible internet comedy.
That's even better, if we're being honest.
That's Jason.
Hello.
That's Matt, aka Moot, aka Mootiful, aka Moot Tholomule J. Simpson.
Actually, I think now is as good a time as any to reveal that my actual identity is Marcus Fartbutt.
We've been hinting at it for decades now.
Important question. Do you have a doctorate?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. He's not a phony.
In butt farts. I am Dr. Marcus Fartbutt.
He didn't go to
Fart
7
butt
years
D.
of fart butt college.
Is this the
to
last?
be called Mr. Fart Butt?
Is this the last name conversation again? This one's just very literal.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Marcus Fartbutt, doctor of Fartbutt.
It's Mr. Dr. Professor Fart Butt.
That's my email signature.
With a minor in anal seepage.
Oh no! Well, on
Get
that
us out of here, Mike.
on that note, Diluti,
Above
housekeeping.
your head.
You're gonna need housekeeping after the seepage. So
Oh God.
I would like to introduce a couple new Patreons.
Porky pigged it a little bit there.
Sorry, I have bad internet here. I was lagging.
You have bad internet here. Got it.
Yeah. So I would like to introduce some new patrons. We have Harrison.
Harrison.
Hi,
Are you saying Harrison or Harrison?
Harrison. We
Harrison.
have
It's not a word anymore.
we have GP Angel Cosmic Horror Cutie, which full name.
Yeah,
Very
That's all one name.
That's all one name is GP Angel Cosmic Horror Cutie.
What does the GP stand for?
Okay.
Guardian Angel.
Guardian
General
Angel.
practitioner.
General Practitioner Angel. We have Chloe Mininik. There's two N's.
I can't make fun of someone's actual
Chloe
name.
Mininik. And then we have Mason McLemore. McLemore?
Macklemore?
No, it's not Macklemore. That'd be cool. Mason McLemore. And then we have our boy Jack Barbo, who came back from the dead and is back in the Patreon. So thank you all, you guys. You guys are lovely people. Honestly, look me in the eye. Those of you looking that's not on YouTube.
I can't tell what your eyes are.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Those of you that aren't on the YouTube, this won't work for you. But look me in the eye. If you're on the YouTube, look me in the eye.
If you're on the YouTube, hopefully this is the last episode.
YouTube.com/@DilutiPod. Look at me. Look at me.
Oh, okay. It's clearing up now.
Look at
Just
me.
don't move much.
Just don't move.
Beautiful. Thank you all. Anyway, that's all I had. You too could be a patron if you go to patreon.com/DilutiPod. You can give us something, or
You'll probably give us nothing.
you
but
could
it's
give us
fine.
nothing, and you could just stare at that screen and then think, what if I did give them something?
Should I take that face and turn it into the first thing patrons see? It's
could.
just the most
Yes.
giant
Well, that will
picture.
definitely steer them away.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, that we'll get loads of like emails talking about my face and how it's
Yeah.
weird.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Maybe some that got lost in.
Hey, at least people will interact with this. Then.
That's true. We'll get emails like a man named Ken got emails.
Ooh, look at that sneaky little
Lots
bird
of
scooter.
emails. I'm good
Or
sometimes.
are they P-mails?
That's what Finley leaves for other dogs.
Yes.
Oh,
P-mails.
yeah.
That is kind of the emailing of
It is.
dogs. It's just, I pissed on this
That
hydrant.
makes it.
Please respond.
Whoa.
Right. He goes and smells the message board and leaves his own message as a reply.
All this time,
shit.
we thought Al Gore invented the internet.
It was
But it was
dogs.
really dogs.
It was Finley.
Anyway, back to emails.
Yeah, back to emails.
So today we're talking about a weird chain of, I don't even know if I call them emails as much as just weird computer messages.
No, they're emails. They are electronic mails.
We're talking about the Dodleston Messages. Ooh, now you're probably asking yourself, Michael, I don't know shit about what you just fucking said. And neither did I until 2 weeks
Those are
ago.
reference.
Thank you. Until 2 weeks ago when Jason was like, you want to talk about this? And we were all just like, sure.
I guess.
Whatever.
And so thus became the Dodleston Messages.
Yep.
Honestly, pretty fun.
This was a fun. This was a surprisingly fun one.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm not gonna lie to you. I enjoyed this. I think I just like message board shit because I enjoyed this almost as much as I like Defra County, which is mostly just message board shit.
That's all message
I
boards.
just like
Is
message
this
board.
message board shit?
When I say message
it's
board,
a
I'm-
message board across time and space, I guess.
yeah, that's what I just mean like messages. Like I like a good story that's just like
Like human interaction.
I like
Mike likes it when people convey messages to him.
I like a nice notarized letter every now and then.
That's how easy it is. If you want to make Mike happy, just write his name on a piece of paper and just hand it to him.
Yes, exactly. So where do we start off with this? I guess if I could
Are you asking yourself or?
No, if I could introduce this somehow, I would say to make it easy, back in the 80s, I believe this was going on in the 80s.
Mid 80s.
A man named
1985.
a man named Ken Webster, not to be confused with Webster Dictionary.
You don't know that.
You're right. A man named Dictionary Webster came across
Dick Webster for short.
He brought home a computer from work. And as soon as he did this, weird shit started happening around his house. And he realized he was having like a time traveler's wife situation happen with the past and the future. Yes.
What a twist.
I know. So where does this all kind of start? I guess we could say it starts with our boy Ken. Our guy here, our guy Ken.
Guy Ken.
Our guy here, he graduated from the university of a university that I'm going to butcher the name of.
Please do. I'm so excited to hear it.
Aberystwyth. I think Aberystwyth.
There's
Fucking
We just lost everyone in the UK.
fucking Brits. But he graduated in 1976, and soon after he relocated to a small town in the northwestern regions of England. I'm pretty sure that's just Wales.
parts of
Wales
Wales.
is in the south of England. Isn't it?
Whatever.
Yeah, Wales is south.
Or in the
Ireland's
south
more
of the
north.
UK. England is a country.
Okay, I don't know maps. I think that's safe to say. I don't know maps. I've played Geo.
You did
Guesser,
play GeoGuessr,
and I'm bad at it. But he relocated himself to Dodleston, and he started working there as a teacher at Harrowden High School.
Hawarden.
Hawarden. Words hard. I hate the British and their dumb words.
And they just remove like half the letters from words.
Yeah,
when
I
they say them.
hate it so much. Hawarden is a school that is right dead set in the middle of the United Kingdom's little project they had going on called the Computer Literacy Project. Moot
What was that?
knows.
Yeah.
Moot knows.
So yeah, they had this computer called the BBC Micro. And what the BBC Micro was a computer that was developed by Acorn Computers, which is a British company that is now defunct.
Oh, I hope
but
they went on to make those
basically-
Acorn stair lifts, but they did not do that. They found a market.
That would be quite the pivot.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to interrupt you real quick, but people probably noticed there's no Doug here.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
Oh shit, we didn't even fucking say that.
we just completely like Doug doesn't exist.
You didn't even do the thing where you're like pretend that Doug's here and like
Fuck
say
that
his name.
guy. Yeah, no, Doug is gonna be.
Wait. You know what?
What do you got for me? There he is. He's here.
There's Doug.
I will have sex with Hamlet, Doug. That is from one of our Patreon episodes. If you want to find out, patreon.com/totallypod. But he is going to be probably off the the show for a little bit. He's got some stuff at home that he's taking care of. He's a busy guy.
Yeah, he might not be. I talked to him actually a little bit before I came over here, and I don't know if he's going to be here for like the next few. But yeah, he's out of state. He's just taking care of some personal stuff. So
Yep. So
he'll be back when he gets back.
He'll be back when he gets back. Anyway, continue
Love you,
forward.
Doug.
Yeah, love you, buddy.
Everyone say I love you at Doug.
Love you, Doug.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anyway, continue forward, Bartholomew J. Simpson.
Yeah, the BBC Micro. So it's a computer that was developed by Acorn Computers, like I said, which was a English computing company that is now defunct. They went officially out of business in 2015. But basically what this computer was a cheap way to get personal computers into the hands of students and the general public in the UK. So Acorn Computers and the BBC started this program called the Computer Literacy Project, and they would they would give these computers to local school systems or sell them for cheap to students or libraries or whatever.
You can thank
And then-
Margaret Thatcher for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher.
That
Marg B. Thatchin.
what's
Marg B.
and-
Thatcher.
which one is who's the lady that Reagan was married to? The one that had the Gok 3000.
Wait, who is married to?
Not Margaret
I thought it was.
Thatcher.
I thought it was Margaret Thatcher. Who was Reagan
Margaret
married
Thatcher
to?
was the Prime Minister of England.
Who
for a
was
bit.
Reagan married to? Hang on,
Are you talking about Nancy Reagan?
Nancy Reagan. Yeah, she had the Gok 3000.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She did. Mike, do you want to go over real quick what a Gluck 3000 is?
Yeah, let's
Rumor
do that.
came out from a couple of older celebrities that she had a throat on her and she would use it.
She was
Mr.
the
T
throat
has. She was the throat goat. Mr. T has some things to say about old Nancy Reagan being the Gok champion.
Why is she
Poor
called? Why is it called
Margaret Thatcher is just
Gok?
thrown
Because
into
the
this fucking conversation for no reason.
It's called the Gok because the sounds you make when you're, doing.
Glok, glok.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Gok, gok.
Yeah,
That's the sound
I
of
get
the
it now.
police.
I get it.
You got
Nancy
it.
Reagan was strapped. She was looking for any reason. Any reason.
Give me a reason. I'll suck that dick right now.
Well, that's all I need.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Matt. That had nothing to do with anything we're talking about. I'm so sorry.
It didn't. I'm still not sure how the connection was
Because
drawn
I thought it was
between
Margaret.
Nancy Reagan.
I thought it was Margaret Thatcher that had the Gok, but it was actually the Nancy Reagan. I fucked up on that
Nancy
one.
Reagan. Okay.
The Nancy Reagan.
Mike got on the wrong bird scooter and he did not come
The
back.
BBC, which is not the kind of BBC that Nancy Reagan was interested in. We're talking about the British Broadcasting Company. They started this program where they would have these regular programs that they aired on BBC Two that would teach students how to use these BBC micro computers. And so they often ended up in the hands of educators and schools, like I said, which is how our old buddy Ken got a hold of these. And if you want to know more about Acorn Computers, even though they went out of business in 2015, their legacy still lives on in
Their
the
stair lifts.
processors that I swear to fucking God.
You're almost there, Matt. You're
fuck.
almost there.
I'm shutting up
No,
now.
I give up. I'm
No!
done. No. They invented ARM, which is the architecture that your phone runs on, that your router probably runs on. So that's the legacy that they left behind. Actually, the guy that invented the Raspberry Pi created the Raspberry Pi because he had a BBC Micro as a kid, and he wanted to provide affordable computing to other young people the same way that he had affordable computing thanks to the BBC Micro and Acorn Computers when he was a kid.
Huh.
So you can thank Acorn Computers and the BBC for the Raspberry Pi.
Thanks, Acorn.
Computers.
No one tackles the dilemma of stairs like you do.
Oh,
Jesus.
fuck.
God, we are so fucking
Anyway.
dumb.
So, like I mentioned, the BBC Micro ended up in the hands of our old friend Ken here because they had one at the school that he was an economics teacher at. So, do you want to talk more about what Ken did with this computer, Jason?
I would love to. So as we said, Ken moved to Dodleston so he could get involved with this Hawarden High School. And like we said, the UK's computer literacy project was active at this school. So Ken got access to one of these BBC Micros.
Yeah, apparently, according to him, he said that they had I think he called it like the funds, or they had enough. They had enough like setups to where they had too many computers to where they were like, you can borrow it, you can take it home.
Yeah, and he would borrow it, he'd bring it home, and he would do a bunch of work, and then he'd bring it back, and it really was not a big deal. And again, did we talk about like the name of his house? Did we mention that at all?
Nope.
Okay, so
I don't think so.
the house that he lives in is actually, so one of the things about the UK that is kind of adorable is a lot of like cottages and houses have like proper names. So like this is called the Meadow Cottage, and it's the only one that you can find in this area. And it's just this small little cottage. Just think like Ireland, like Irish cottage or UK cottage, just something little small ass town.
Hi, it's pretty quaint.
It's pretty quaint. So he got to take this BBC Micro home. Now, what?
Just BBC and micro
the big black
in the same
big
sentence.
black micro penis.
Yeah.
We've made this joke
that's
before.
what we're all thinking.
Yeah.
Every time we say it, BBC, BBC,
Big
BBC.
black micro penis.
Big black micro penis.
It's a paradox.
So the
Maybe that's what created this wormhole in the fabric of the universe that we're about to talk about.
This fucking what is it called? Like when you see like a beware of dog sign, but it's a chihuahua. What are those called? Or like jumbo shrimp, all shrimp are
like
small.
a misnomer?
Is it a misnomer? Oxymoron, that's the word.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah,
That's the word.
that is. Big black micro penis is oxymoronic as hell. But so he lived in this cottage, and he would bring this BBC Micro home. So shortly after moving into the cottage, he started noticing something just a little weird. The weird thing he noticed was these small 6-toed footprints that seemed to walk directly up the wall and through the ceiling.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Nope.
That's the sound he made when he saw him.
He became Italian all of a sudden.
He started dying.
So he sees these footprints on his walls leading up through the ceiling to where we don't know. He looked at his house and he said, you know what, this house is kind of old. It might have something to do with that. Maybe it's just like worn spots on the wall that are like letting some moisture through. He tried to explain it away all he could, so he painted over it. The very next day, he found the prints right back on top of the fresh layer of paint. Now that you can't really explain that.
Checkmate, atheist.
Checkmate. How do you explain that? So it's in the following days after he noticed these footprints, he started noticing other weird things like bottles and cans and maybe some boxes that were stacked in like different towers.
He started noticing a bunch of his tinnies just being stacked up on top
It was
of
a
each
lot of
other.
stacking, lots and lots of stacking. Sometimes it was over like
Real board ghost.
very like if you're playing reverse Jenga to pass the time, you're doing something wrong. There's TV, idiot.
Watch Walter Cronkite like a real American.
Yes.
A real British American.
Yes, a real British American. So things just kept stacking up, and eventually, Ken and his what was his wife or girlfriend? I don't remember. Girlfriend Debbie, and
Roommate Nick.
Thank you, Mike. They all just kind of like assumed it was each other. They were all just fucking with each other.
They were really hoping one of them would come out and just yell pranks, but no
prank.
one did.
It's just a prank, bro. It's fine. But no one did that. So, as Christmas of 1985 started to get closer and closer, the household decided.
I thought the roommate was Peter.
No, that's his.
That's his colleague.
Ken's colleague. Yes.
Yeah, that's his colleague. We'll get to him in just a second. So the Christmas. Actually, I'm not sure. Was this Christmas 1984 or was this Christmas 1985 going into 1986?
I think
it's going into 1985.
Okay, that's what I thought. So Christmas of 1984. The household didn't exactly like what was going on, so they decided to visit their friend Dave Lovell. And
He's not here, man.
And they left it on the boot. They left their BBC Micro on, and they left it on the boot screen. That's important. It'll be important in just a second. So when Ken logs into this machine, he finds a file called KDN, and he opens it, and this is what it says. Ken, Deb, Nick. True are the nightmares of a person that fears. Safe are the bodies of the silent world. Turn pretty flower, turn towards the sun, for you shall grow and sow. But the flower reaches too high and withers in the burning light. Get out your bricks. Pussycat, pussycat, went to London to seek fame. I knew we couldn't get past that part.
What's new, pussycat?
Yep. Some Tom Jones in this bitch.
It's not unusual. Sorry. Please continue.
Went to London to seek fame and fortune. Faith must not be lost, for this shall be your redeemer. Now, this is not something that Ken or his household had created at all. And he mostly played it off as just kind of a prank by his friend John, who was one of their friends who would visit to like record different musical tracks, mainly guitar tracks. After this happened, as is tradition with how this household and this computer operated, it went back to the school, and it was not borrowed again until 1985. Now, I do want to make this a point. It was not the same computer every single time.
Yeah, he would go back and just grab different ones.
It would be different computers, and that's a very important detail that I missed the first time on this. I thought he was just bringing the same one back, and no.
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
Right.
I thought it was the same computer.
It's different ones every single time. And
That's important.
It's very important. It adds a whole new fucking layer to everything. So yeah, February 1985 is when the BBC Micro comes back to Ken's house. So one evening after Ken Debbie...
A BBC Micro comes back.
Not the same one, right. I need to fucking watch myself on that.
You're walking on thin ice, mister.
Every time I say it wrong, just kick me in the dick.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mike's going to do that.
I know, and I can't even get mad at him when it happens.
You did this to yourself.
A BBC Micro enters the household of Ken. One evening, after Ken, Debbie, and Nick return home from a road trip, they find a new file on their computer, on their little BBC Micro. And this time the file says Re8, which, anybody could probably guess that was supposed to say create. What?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
No, you've already interrupted. Go ahead.
He tried to sound smart by predicting what I was going to say, and it went horribly wrong. So this is what the file create says.
just look at that.
What's up there? What's up there?
What's that? Nonchalant. Play it cool.
So this file create, this is how it reads. It says, I write on behalf of many what strange words thou speak. Although I must confess that I hath also been ill-schooled. Sometimes, methinks, alterations are somewhat barful, for they break main asleep in mine bed.
You sound just like an old school
This
guy.
is fucking tough, man. Thou art goodly man who hath fanciful
There we go.
woman who dwell in mine home.
Shakespeare? Is that you?
I hath no want to affray, for only since mine half-witted antic has ripped a twain mine bound hath I been wreathed at night. I hath seen many alterations, lastly charge house and thou home. 'Tis a fitting place, with lights which devil maketh, and costly things that only mine friend Edmund Grey can afford, or the king himself. 'Twas a great crime to have bribed mine house. L.W.
Do you know that Shakespeare invented the soliloquy?
I did.
Yeah.
Shakespeare invented a bunch of cool shit.
And words.
Words were the best. Some of his invented words are great.
There
Dolph.
was no language.
No.
Only Zool.
Word Shakespeare. He invented words.
Yes. He said
Zool.
he just looks at everyone and goes, hello. And they're like, so clearly this just got a fucking fuckload weirder. Like a way weirder. I don't know if this is just like some early version of like a LARP. Like somebody trying to LARP on the internet or something.
Lightning bolt.
Like I don't know what this is. So, and neither did Ken.
Well, there was no internet. That's important.
That is
There-
very
there's
important,
no
right?
There's no networking capability on the BBC Micro. It is just a computer that is just plugged into
Yeah.
a power outlet, and that's it.
They couldn't even use the Xanadu hyperlink
No,
project. They
internet was
had
not-
to use this.
Internet was not available to the public until the 90s. I'm sure.
No,
sure.
Yeah, Al Gore
Awesome.
was still working on it, but
Yeah. But yes.
putting those tubes together.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there just like, huh. Two. Mom! Mom, I did it!
Internet. What does that mean?
He pulled a Homer Simpson. He's like, Trombomboline! Trombomboline!
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Okay, so after this weird message comes through on this non-internet capable computer, Ken prints off the message and has it taken to school. And most people dismissed it as mostly nonsense. I mean, to be fair, I fucking would too. If somebody handed that to me and I looked at it and they said,
Yeah.
what does this mean?
Hey,
I
what
would
do you
go,
think of this? Pussycat, pussycat. I love you.
Oh man. But yeah, so everyone was like, dude, you're fucking batshit, you're insane. Like, this is nothing. Just leave it alone. And he wouldn't. However, the English teacher, or Peter Trinder, had a much more inquisitive view.
Hey, Peter.
Peter.
What do you think of this computer I got here?
So the English teacher, Peter Trinder, was absolutely convinced that the message was written in either 16th or 17th century English. There's another guy named John Cummins, and he was just kind of a local who worked as a solicitor.
lot of innuendo jokes in this episode. I look over at the computer. I just see shifty-eyed Moot. Just is anyone going to do it? Is anyone going to say anything?
I was looking at Mike, waiting on you to say something. So,
I need
this
you-
whole story is just a very elaborate setup.
Yeah.
for-
for a
penis
dick
joke.
joke.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
big dick joke.
I thought the word boner was in there somewhere,
And that was the red herring to throw you off. So, so again, John Cummins, who was he was a local and he worked as a just some kind of a solicitor out of London. He needed to reply to this. So the three, so we have Ken, we have Peter, and we have John. And they drafted a reply to this very strange message. And here's what it says. In the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, dear LW, thank you for your message. We are sorry for disturbing you. What would you like us to do? Did you live in a house on this land in about 1620? Do you want us to tell you more about our time? Why write a poem? Who is Edward Grey? Is he related to the Egerton family? Do you have a family? Forgot about that.
what if they just like sprinkled in there
Hey,
like?
buddy, how much does your life suck?
Where's your dad?
I really wish they would have sprinkled in there at one point, just like, do you know about Bofa?
Do you know about Bofa? How about some Bofa?
Have you heard of a CDs?
What's a CDs?
Want to hear a story about a dragon?
God. God.
They're just fucking with
Or
this
or
guy.
a future disease called ligma.
They're just fucking with this guy from the 1500s.
Oh my
The
God.
original internet troll.
Yeah, that's literally like we can't even help ourselves. Like we have a time machine computer that talks to people from the fucking 1500s. And we're like, hey, you have some ligma? You got some? Wait, you spell that up dog? You spell that up dog over here?
They send back a message. They send back a message. It's just like, hey, I'm a crown prince, but I can't get to my money if you send me your social security number.
I just need to
If
pay
you
a
go to
fee.
Western Union and wire $3,000,
I just need to pay a fee to release these funds.
Send me 3,000 Spanish doubloons.
The fucked up thing is oh my dude, that's holy. Do you remember our fucking advanced fee scam episode?
yeah.
That shit started in the 1400s in Spain because of
this guy.
with Spanish fucking doubloons.
Are you serious?
Yes,
Oh,
Mike just
shit.
fell backwards into a smart thing.
Good job. Way to go.
Hooray, accidental genius.
Oh, shit.
Oh man. So anyway, the rest of these questions. So after they ask if this guy has a family, they follow by saying, "Is the King James or Charles Stewart? What is the charge house? Was the village called Dodleston in your life, and how many families lived here? Thank you very much for your messages. Thank you for not making us afraid, Ken, Debbie, and John." So after this, they hit send, which okay. I want to know how they sent these. How, like, what are they?
Yeah.
AIM
what are they
Instant
doing?
Messenger.
There's no internet, so why would you have anything on the computer that's capable of sending a message? You don't need it.
I think sent just means they just saved the file.
Just saved
and
the
just
file?
hope that it got read.
Okay, that makes the most sense. But they keep saying sent, and after your revelation of like, hey, fucking assholes, this internet doesn't have computer because the internet wasn't a thing.
Internet does not have computer.
You know what I fucking meant.
Yeah, there is no email.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they just typed up. Actually, the program they used was called Edward, like EDWORD.
Ed,
And I think they just punched up these documents. It was basically Microsoft Word for the BBC Micro, and they just punched up these documents and then saved them.
okay. Well, that makes sense.
Oh, I thought it was like a DOS thing because later on it mentions green text on a black background.
Is it, what was the name of that
That's
website?
the light box that what's his dick
Yeah,
is.
that was the light
Yeah,
box.
I just thought that's how they communicated. Was it called DOS?
DOS, yeah.
Yeah, I thought
What is
that's what it
DOS?
was under.
Well, DOS is disk operating system. That was Microsoft's original operating system.
Yeah,
this
this is not
runs on a different
Microsoft's.
operating system
Oh.
called Acorn MOS, I think is what it's called.
Acorn
yeah.
iOS.
Yes.
Acorn MOS, machine operating system.
Does that clear things up, Mike?
Yes.
Cool. Thank you, Matt.
Wait.
Sure.
Wait.
What?
Now's a good time.
Is it?
What are you drinking?
Yep, it is.
What are you thinking? There's a bottle here and it's empty.
Oh my! You have no idea
Yeah.
how perfect this is timed.
That's why I did it because it's just gonna get wackier from here. So,
Oh no! The next
What?
sentence I say, you'll understand why.
so
what are we drinking, Mike?
What
What did you get us?
I got us some fucking what's it called again? Evan Williams, 1783, and you brought over
Some Dickel.
George Dickel.
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 Who's
Um,
George Dickel?
who's George Dickel?
He's 8 years old.
Yeah,
according
he's
to this
years
bottle.
old.
Okay.
What are you drinking, Moot? Anything?
I got a liquid death.
Hell yeah, as always.
Not a sponsor of the podcast.
They
Yeah,
should be.
Sponsor of me.
Well,
Unpaid sponsor.
Boy, howdy, will he tell you that he
Yeah.
has a sparkling water?
yeah. Everyone else, go grab your nearest fish sauce or alcohol or whatever you have to take a drink.
Oh,
of.
hold on. I think Matt has something
Do
important
you
to
guys
say.
remember that I made an ARG?
Oh, you talk about it just so much. Hey, remember that one time?
But why are internet horror mysteries so?
Why are they so appealing to the masses? Well,
So, yeah.
cheers.
to George Dickel and
No.
Oh,
get ready to Nancy Reagan. Throat the alcohol like she throats
The original throat goat.
the original throat goat. When you hear the clink, drink.
Or deep throat. One of the two.
Slimy. It's satisfying.
That's not. I didn't expect that. I don't like that.
I don't like that. Anyway.
Anyhow.
So, after sending this message, Ken, Debbie, and John, Ken, Debbie, and John. I'm sorry. Peter was not the one that was helping draft this message. It was Debbie. I'm so sorry. They went to the Red Lion pub to have a couple of drinks, and they left the computer alone, hoping that it might prompt a reply. When they came home a couple hours later, a new file was waiting for them with a new message, and this proves that their assumptions were correct, that this, in fact, is somebody from the fucking past, according to what they say. Here's the message. Am I going back to Shakespeare?
Yeah, you have to do an accent.
Billy Boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's gonna like devolve into like Australian or some shit. Oh well.
You always kind of go like Scottish, I think.
Okay. Now I'm just okay. 'Twas an honest farm of oak and stone. It is helpful that you should tell me about thy time dost thou hath horse. I don't know what that means. Horse.
So
What does
it's
that
here.
mean?
I got it. Hold on.
Holding on.
Hold on.
Hang on.
Hold on.
Holding.
Where's yours? Where's your outline? We can cut this if we need to. Where's your outline? Is yours in the message outline? Is that what you used?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about.
I thought you were using an outline to read the thing. Here.
No,
okay.
I'm just reading the fucking message.
I'm going. Okay, here we go.
Do you want to read them?
Yeah.
Do you want to be my my voice?
I could do
Mike
that.
wants to hear the sound of his own voice.
That's
I
I should have
do.
just kind of assumed.
Well, no, because you're doing it in a weird way. Hang on, where the fuck is it at? Ah, schlong.
I'm doing it in a weird way.
Penis jokes.
Penis jokes. Wait, where is it? Why can't I find it? Oh, yeah. Oh, what happened? Oh, I clicked on one of those shitty things.
All right, I'm just gonna fucking read it.
Twas
What happened?
ready. I got it right here.
Okay, cool.
'Twas an honest farm of oak and stone. It is helpful that you should tell me about thy time. Dost thou hath horse?
Got it. Okay.
Edmund Grey, brother of John Grey, lives at Kinnerton Hall. Thy king, of course, is Henry the Eighth, who is 46. I nae woot of King James. Mine charge house is a place of lure schooling.
Thank you.
LW 28th March, anno 1521.
Damn, that was really good.
My charge house is a house of lore schooling.
There's the Vegeta that we all know and love.
He was playing Anna on his past computer.
Yes.
Anno, are you okay?
Anno 2021.
What's Anno?
It's isn't that a city builder?
Yeah, it's a city builder. It's kind of like a Civ.
Yeah.
Eat.
So this reply was a bit troubling in a couple of different ways. First off, the so-called historical facts proposed by LW were like just fucking wrong. In 1521, apparently Henry VIII was only 30 years old, not 46. Also, Kinnerton Hall wouldn't be built for another 200 fucking years. And there had been a mention of Edmund or John Grey. There had not been any mention of Edmund or John Grey in any of the records there. Also, Ken was kind of troubled by the usage of modern grammar and punctuation marks that would not have been fucking used in the 16th century.
They didn't know what a Oxford comma was.
I mean, they might have because Oxford was around.
Shit.
Yeah, doesn't this involve Oxford?
It does.
Actually.
That's the only reason I can say that with confidence because I read all about it.
I
Because it was
don't know.
mentioned.
Yes,
I don't know how to read.
that's fine. That's why we're here, Mike, to help you. I will read you any story you want before bedtime. So, I mean, I don't know where they thought these fucking questions were going to lead, simply because how the hell do you get answers to them? Aside from just asking this one source of information that you have in front of you, right?
They respond back ASL.
ASL. So I guess we're just kind of left with, is this just someone hacking? Is this someone like somehow getting into the computer and leaving files? Is this somebody breaking in and playing a prank? Or is this really somebody talking to somebody from the fucking 1600s?
Yeah.
1521 to be exact. So Ken continues to borrow this computer, or not. Damn it! Go, let me have it, Mike. Dick kick. He already forgot. Cool. Ken would continue borrowing.
Mike's a pacifist. He's not gonna do this.
I don't have the heart to hurt my boy.
He'd continue borrowing one of the computers.
Whenever he'd get a new computer, he'd send them a message saying, "New pewter, who dis?"
New computer, who dis? I will say that he did not borrow it for work anymore. He literally just started borrowing it so he could talk to like this fucking person. A bunch of messages are conveyed back and forth. There's a whole bunch of information given. I'm not going to go over a lot of it because if you want to know what all the messages say, I would highly recommend checking out the book.
There's like
what?
The vertical plane.
Yeah, the vertical plane.
There's like 300.
Vertical line.
There's what?
There's like 300 of these fuckers.
There's 300 fucking messages that you can read through. And it's a lot of information. And some of the messages are not included in that, which means there are more than 300 that need to be 300 and then some that need to be found.
One of them is just a bunch of eggplant emojis.
I hope. With a bunch of the wet
Yeah.
emoji
the
next
squirty,
to it. Yeah. Eggplant squirty.
And a peach. I don't know why there was a peach there.
It's because it looks like a fuzzy butt. So like there's a whole bunch of messages and they basically just try to get any information they can. They don't get a whole lot. They talk about the guy talks about like he lost his wife and son to the plague, but how he harvested barley for ale and how he makes his own cheese.
What a man.
I know, he does it fucking all.
Making cheese.
Man's man.
One of the more important pieces of information though is when he claims that his house is made of red sandstone. So the house where Ken is living is not made of red sandstone. However, there is an older structure that is literally directly underneath Ken's house, and it's a building that was made of red sandstone.
Isn't it underneath the kitchen?
Yeah.
It's underneath the
Like
kitchen.
The remnants that they found were underneath the kitchen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right underneath.
Coincidence?
Yeah, it was buried right
Relevant.
underneath the kitchen. Thank you. I fucking forgot about that. Yes. So whoever they're talking to kind of started to think that Ken is just fucking trespassing. He's like in his house and shit, even though he can't see him.
He needs to get a Ring camera
Yes, he does.
in 1985.
Hey, he's got a means to communicate with
You can
fucking
Amazon Prime one.
Amazon Prime travel. That's what we can call it.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the green post or the green text that's Amazon Prime X?
Mm,
You don't know
no.
what I'm talking about. I'll send it to you.
Please do.
It's what you got to read it.
Okay.
Micah in particular will appreciate it.
Send it my way.
My way or the highway. So yeah, so he discovers that underneath his kitchen is this structure made of red sandstone. He talks about a lot of the sentences are in fucking Latin because that was actually something that was used at that time period. Apparently they nailed down like the time period of the messages. They nailed it down to about like the early to mid 16th century in the Cheshire region. And that's the place that Lucas claimed. So Lucas, I just said, LW in these messages you will find stands for Lucas Wayneman. And that is, we find out, is the name of this man from 1521. He writes that King Henry VIII had been married to Katharina Parr, which is consistent with many other details, but a lot of other names that he mentioned just can't fucking be found. And he talks about them in great detail. Like, it's just like an everyday thing for him. And then, after Ken finally reveals that he is writing from the year 1985, something very fucking unexpected happens. Essentially, somebody else joins the fucking conversation. What?
I'm laughing at the Amazon X. Knock, knock, open up the door. It's real.
With the nonstop pop stainless steel.
That's a deep cut of a
Sorry,
joke.
Jason.
That's fine.
Everyone go look up Amazon X green text.
So,
Wowie, zowie, zowie, zowie.
I thought it was scot-free. So yeah, this a third party joins the conversation.
A new challenger.
A new challenger approaches. So they get a reply from LW. And it says, "You want to? I got this.
Okay.
You said your. I don't have this. What does it say?
You said. I got it. You said your time be 1985. Me thought you were alls from 2109, like your friend, whom didst bring Leams boist prey.
Leams boist. That's an important.
Leams
That's
boist.
one of the most important set of words in that message. So the first thing we need to unpack is that they're very confused about why we're from the time of, or why Ken and crew is from the time 1985, when apparently somebody has been talking to them that said they were from the year 2109.
It's because
The
Debbie just
age
hit the
of
wall. She
tomorrow.
never had it all. One Prozac a day. Husband's a CPA. Her dreams went out the door when she turned 24. Only
No, keep going. Keep going.
What happened to her plan? She was going to be an actress. She was going to be a star. She was going to shake her ass
I can't even stop.
on the hood of Whitesnake's car. Her yellow SUV, it's now the enemy.
In 1985.
1985.
1985.
You'd sang that like Zep Brannigan does his spoken word.
Zep Brannigan.
Yes.
It's like, oh no, when Will Shatner does it, and he's just like, well, the real Slim Shady.
Dreams went out the door when she turned 24.
Just Will Shatner, just, well, the real Slim Shady. Please stand up.
Holy shit.
Please stand up.
What was I saying? What was I talking about?
So our boy here, Lucas, is very confused. He's like, wait, you say you're from 1985.
Oh, yes.
I've been talking to people from 2109.
Yeah.
The age of tomorrow.
Finally, we can say it appropriately.
Yeah.
Welcome to the age of tomorrow. So he talks about somebody from 2109 and how he's confused. He thinks that he's talking to the same people, but apparently not.
And he also mentions how he claims that the person from the 2109 had basically brought him the Leams boist.
Leams Broist, which it translates to box of lights, which, if we're being 100% honest, if somebody from 1520 saw something and called it a box of lights, and we, in the year 2023 of our Lord, read that, I'm going to go ahead and assume he's talking about a fucking computer.
I'm a
I
computer.
would think he was talking about Light Bright.
If we're pulling a Stranger Things and communicating via Light Bright.
He just comes up to you. I'm a computer. Stop all
dad's
the
a
downloading.
So after this happens, they write to 2109 and they leave a file that says calling 2109.
Isn't that wild, though? We kind of just brushed past it. We verify that there's communication to the past
Yep.
and the future.
Yep.
We're communicating with a guy from fucking 1520 and from 2109. This just joined the fucking mix.
I know. It's
Why
fucking,
are people in 2109 still using a fucking BBC Micro?
and why
That's
honestly,
my
why do they
question.
care about any of this? Like they have probably a bunch of
They
bigger
have
problems.
better things to do.
Right.
They're
Like,
very bored.
how many bees are left? Like
It's probably just like a Wall-E future, and this is
Yeah.
just some bored dude spinning around on the conveyor belt on the fucking spaceship, just like playing on his iPad thing connected to his chair.
for every reply you just hear a that's it. Just
I'm gonna make these past idiots thinking I'm some
Make 'em freak
sort
out.
of important.
God. Meanwhile, he just works at the Denny's of 2109.
So they leave a file on the computer saying it says calling 2109, and they get a response. And it says Ken, Deb,
Wait,
Peter.
say it like like a guy from the future would say it.
I can't do the Vegeta voice, but I'll try.
No.
Ken, Deb, Peter, we are sorry that you can give only 2 choices.
That's actually a pretty solid Vegeta.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's not pretty
It's
good.
not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
All right.
For just an off the cuff attempt.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I wouldn't keep it up though. It
I'm not
does
gonna.
harsh
It's
on
already,
the throat.
I can tell it's gonna be
Yes.
harsh. So we can only give you 2 choices. That you either have your predicament explained in such a non-rhyme way that you may have instant understanding, but cause what should not to be to happen, or 2, try to understand that you 3 have a purpose that shall, in your lifetime, change the face of history. We, 2109, must not affect your thoughts directly, but give you some sort of guidance that will allow room for your own destiny. All we can say is that we are all part of the same God, whatever it is.
This
Ooh.
guy talks like a lawyer.
They talk.
They talk.
They talk. they spell,
talk.
They spell words. So now we have 2 open lines of communication. One of them going back to fucking 1521, and one of them going forward to 2109. It's weird enough as is. It can't get weirder, right?
Oh ho ho ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
Are you sure?
Unless they call in the RIPD. What is it?
R.I.P.D. Holy
They
shit.
call in the fucking Ghostbusters, basically.
I mean, I'm not convinced that this person's from 2109 immediately because
No.
they're not speaking in just like memes and fucking.
Just images. Honestly, I could see language just turning into image, like going back to hieroglyphics. Like
Yeah.
the Egyptians fucking had it right. It was so much
It's just
easier.
emojis and image macros.
You see one picture and you're like, oh, that means like, the sun will come up later and we have to eat at some point. Like it's a whole sentence.
No, it gets weirder when they
It does get
introduce
weirder.
they introduce Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventure crew.
So as Mike mentioned earlier, tins had begun to stack themselves in the kitchen.
Again,
So the paranormal things are still going on.
they're ramping up.
They are ramping up. So tins begin to stack themselves in the kitchen. You see chalk markings, sometimes with words, had started to appear around the house. Sections of the house were extremely cold. You hear walking where there's supposed to be nobody.
They say everything feels cold.
and strange feet impressions. More of those.
Ooh.
Old Faithful. Just pull it out whenever you need it.
My
The
foot.
good old feet.
Good old feet. So on the 15th of May, 1985, Debbie noted, this is what she said. She says, I dropped Ken off at school after spending the night at East Green and then drove over to the cottage to feed the cats. It was 9 a.m. It was not until I walked up the path to the front door that I sensed something was very wrong. Perhaps it was the cat sitting in the garden wall watching me rather than circling my feet as they usually do, which prompted this unease. I turned the key in the lock and pushed the door open. In the living room, I came face to face with a 6-foot-high pile of furniture. It appeared to me that in that instant to have been tossed by the little finger of a giant. Instantly, I took a step back out of the door. And slammed it shut. The cat still watched me in silence from the wall. I didn't quite know what to do.
And there's a picture.
There is a picture, and it. I didn't
It
understand.
looks like her house is ramsacked.
It looks like a Slender Man. Like
Yes. Yep.
something you'd see in a creepypasta.
It looks like
Yeah.
something from one of the Slender Man games, for fucking sure.
Yeah.
And it's so this has gone from like something just like creepily curious to more of, I mean, apparently, allegedly, that this has gone to something more dangerous because now it's just not just markings being left on walls and like footprints and like chalk markings or notes. Now there's physical interaction in making a 6-foot fucking high pile of furniture.
Yeah. This is the part in Paranormal Activity where shit gets real.
This is in like the whatever I was 3 or 4. when she walks to the kitchen and all the fucking furniture's
Oh, yeah.
floating and it just drops. This is that scene for sure. They tried to find an explanation, but I mean, how the fuck do you?
Well, she came across one, and it's ley lines.
Yes, we will go into that for sure.
Ley lines.
But
I thought you were gonna say that like the Sega introduction. Ley lines.
So after when this is happening, they start talking more to LW, and Debbie begins to have dreams about LW, and so again, we're just gonna start calling LW Lucas Wainman, and in just a second, Matt will tell you why. But so Debbie has more and more visions and dreams where she interacts with Lucas. Ken reaches out to the Society for Physical Research, and soon afterwards, John Bucknell and Dave Welch, who are two investigators from the SPR, arrived at the Meadows cottage, and they proposed a test where essentially they would ask 10 questions on the BBC Micro, and the entity or entities would write back, and then they would delete them. They would post it and they would delete it. And if a reply came back,
The important part of this is to make sure that this isn't like a hoax. They would also
Correct.
separate Ken from the
Right.
computer.
yes, they would.
So it would
To
just
make
be
sure that-
it would just be them and the computer without Ken in
right.
the room.
Yep. It was just them.
Yeah.
And
So he wouldn't know like what these people are typing. So if he was going to write something up later and leave it on the computer, he wouldn't have the necessary information.
exactly, because you can't really rule out that Ken's just making all of this up, because like this sounds like Ken's just making all of this up at this point. But yeah, so they did these experiments where they would post a file without Ken in the room, and they would delete it, and then they would wait. And if a reply to the questions came back, then basically the group would alert Ken, and he would come back immediately, and they would deal with it. So several days passed after they posted it, they deleted it, and several days later, a response came back. And here's what it says. David, John. David, you interfere with communication. It's fucking rude. Next time you decide to perform your little experiment, you must be clear from here. We suggest you try someone else to sit with Debbie. We are what you would call a tachyon universe, but your understanding is incorrect. We ask nothing more of you than to carry on as you would prefer. We will have John present if given. I'm guessing this meant to say choose. Choose, or you may bring another as mentioned. No, it is no concern to us that this is not proved. Guessing I meant proven. We will give a plotting of a star next time. We move at a speed so that we cover every point in your time and universe. We have no form. We feed off of a neat energy that you will not have heard of. And neat is spelled N-E-E-T. It's not like just like, oh, this is a cool fucking energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's blue.
So not employed. What is neat?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
What?
Oh, it's a 4chan thing,
Oh.
I think.
Oh.
Neat is an abbreviation for basically somebody they're not employed and they have no prospects, no employment, education, or I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter.
But it does mention
Titties.
it does mention, and it tells them that they are from a tachyon universe,
Yes.
which
yes,
is
they are.
interesting because now are we talking to, is 200109 the future, or is it a different dimension?
Or is it multiple dimensions? Or is it one dimension, multiple people? It's a lot of different
multiple
questions.
people.
Tons and tons of questions.
Hard to say. And if you don't know what tachyons are, TLDR.
Yeah, please.
To TLDR, tachyons are basically, they're particles that are theorized to exist that move faster than light. But physicists are like, they don't exist because nothing can move faster than light. But if we ever do prove them to be real, in theory, we can use tachyon particles to travel through time.
Yes.
Because we can use them to get past the issue
that
is
wall.
That wall, yes, because you can't travel
Sorry,
through time
everyone. This is like a fucking strobe light.
You can't travel through time going the speed of light because in order to go through time, go through that wormhole, you need to go past the speed of
go
light.
faster.
Yep. Oh, way
You
faster.
must go faster, but you can't
Gotta go
because it's
fast.
impossible. Speed of light's the fastest thing in the known universe. But it's tachyons.
That's basically the
Well,
part.
it's not
Go ahead.
impossible. We just don't know of anything
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
that can move faster.
Yeah, that's why that's why most theories on like time travel and like warp drive technology, things like that, isn't about going faster than light. It's about cutting a hole through space time.
Yep.
It's that thing where they take the piece of paper and they put the
fold
pen
it,
through and
the
the fold.
pencil. Yeah.
Folding. We theorize apparently is easier to fold space
Oh
time
God, here we
than
go.
just moving faster than light.
Since we are here, we might as well
Since we've
talk about this.
started, Mike.
We might as well talk about it. I will say that there a concept prototype for something called a quantum matter engine has been produced. Obviously, no physical product. Yeah, it's very troubling.
Well, we already have.
it could go very wrong.
We've already done. We've already successfully had
quantum teleportation.
Quantum teleportation.
Yeah, but
we
with just data.
We teleport. No, we
This is just
teleported.
gonna be a conspiracy theory.
We teleported,
podcast at some point,
Oh
isn't it?
yeah.
We teleported a.
It's 3 conspiracy theories in a trench coat is what it is.
Yes,
That's just all it is.
We teleported. I think it was a proton from
yeah.
here
it.
to a satellite up in space
Mhm.
in the matter of like a
Well,
second.
So
It was something like that.
What?
Quantum means
Yes.
one. So if you were going to do something, if you were going to quantumly
Are
entangle,
you trying to describe quantum entanglement?
quantum entanglement is where one fucking thing exists in 2 places at the same time, depending on how you observe it.
Yeah,
Well, it's
and-
not that. It's 2 pieces of matter that the state of one affects the state of another. It's not the same thing existing in 2 places. It's two
Fair.
pieces
That's
of
fair.
matter in 2 places whose state is connected.
But what I'm talking about is we physically transported
Yeah,
a proton from one spot to another.
to a satellite.
Something like that. Yeah.
I remember reading that story, and it's super fucking exciting.
did
because
it.
Literally, I know no one thinks it's exciting, but like teleportation has been invented. Like
Up next,
it just
the
has.
event horizon.
Oh God, we don't need that. Fuck no, we don't need that. But yeah, so this opens a lot of doors to a lot of fun areas of, quantum mechanics, time travel, fucking tachyons, multiverse theory, fucking you name it. But this these messages were a little troubling. Especially the experiment that they were performing, trying to get them to. So when he answered this, he basically anti-answered all of the questions. Like they completely ignored the important parts and just focused on the fact that they knew what we were doing, and they were like, "Nope, you're being an idiot."
Yeah, like they
you
didn't-
stop trying to outsmart us.
They didn't answer the question, but they
Right.
kind of responded to it anyway. It's like if I asked you, what's your favorite car? And you're just like, do not ask me such questions of metal.
of the
Vehicles.
of the
Metal
2014
vehicles.
Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
Don't ask me
yeah.
about that car. More or less, they did, but they didn't answer the question. And when they heard all of this, Dave Welch, he responded, 2109 had not answered the questions, but it seemed they had picked up all the questions left for them in the same order. So exactly what you just said.
So it kind of helps prove
answer, but a non-answer.
that they're not faking this.
That is exactly what it helped prove. Like based on the data given and based on the parameters given for this experiment, somehow whoever's controlling this, like whoever wrote this part of the document, knew that Ken wasn't involved, even though there's no fucking way they could see the computer or them. They knew exactly who was there, and they knew exactly what was going on. Allegedly. But with that out of the way, why don't we get into who the fuck Lucas is?
Lucas, well, I mean, I don't know if we're exactly sure if we know who Lucas was. All we really know is that Lucas wasn't his real name. So,
Oh, you
at
missed
some
you missed the last little thing on yours before we get to Lucas. The last thing with what's their fucking name? Dave and the other researcher guy, fucking
Dave Welch and
John
Bucknell.
yeah. So the last thing with them is after they kind of proved that this
the microphone thing.
After they kind of proved this is real, they're like, oh, well, they're probably just using microphones to listen in on the key.
To listen to the sound that the individual keys make to determine what they're typing.
And since that was a bunch of bullshit, John just straight up left the SPR, and then Dave Welch just disappears, never to be seen or heard of again.
Yep.
It just freaked him out that much.
A goodbye?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not entirely sure that you would be able to do that with microphones.
Probably
So
not.
this is actually,
I don't know
this is a
either.
thing in cybersecurity where like you can try to figure out what somebody's typing by the pattern of their keystrokes. And I just am not convinced that this economics teacher from high school would be able to figure that out.
Oh, not at all.
In 1985.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they, on top of this too, Ken brings his colleague Frank over to be a witness to all the shit that's going on.
Yep.
And then they mentioned that the computer was like super cold. And they all went to the kitchen to start talking. And then they find a new message on the computer. But this time it is from a different name. The name of Lucas. And that's where we get into.
Yes. Thank you, Mike. I completely forgot about the microphone thing.
Wowie zowie.
Wowie zowie!
So, to go back earlier to something that Jason mentioned, Ken was originally communicating with this dude from the past named LW, who we know his name is Lucas. And during his communications with Lucas, Lucas accuses Ken of living in his house. And we didn't explicitly say it before, but Jason did mention the structure that was underneath the kitchen in Ken's house, which is made of red brick or red clay.
Red sandstone.
Sandstone, yeah. So what they find out is that what they deduce is that there was a structure on Ken's property before Ken's current house that is this Lucas Weinman's house. And so basically they go back and forth with that for a little while. And then then to like jump forward, after the paranormal investigators leave, Ken checks the computer again, and there's a new message from the past. But this time, it is not from Lucas. Instead, it is from a man named John.
Second computer. Not really, but
Two computers.
wouldn't that be something?
Sir, a second computer has... I think we've killed Mike.
Second computer has hit
So
meta.
a second computer has the Pentagon, and the man responsible is a man named John. And John claims to be an acquaintance of Lucas and says that Lucas has been imprisoned for witchcraft and for allegedly communicating with spirits.
Spirits, yes.
He's in prison for blowing up the Twin Towers.
He was in prison for planning 9/11.
Lucas is in Guantanamo. No.
He's been there for 493 years. It's fine.
So Ken needs to go to America, go to Guantanamo Bay. No.
Ken and his two friends, Harold and Kumar.
And then they all go out to White Castle.
Hooray.
And then at some point, no, that's not what happens. What happens is after this message, there's no messages for a few days, and they assume that this is because Lucas is in prison. And so while that's going on and they're not getting any more communication from Lucas, they try to decipher some of these messages from the past that are written in Old English /Latin. So, and they try to dig deeper into who Lucas was. And so this Lucas claims to have attended Brasenose College, which is in Oxford. And he had also given Ken a list of some books to check out to prove that he was who he says he was and that he was telling the truth. So they enlisted the help of a librarian, and this librarian actually confirmed that the listed books were not present at the college, but that they were from the time period that Lucas said that he was from. So that at least confirms that Lucas has some knowledge of the things existing in his time period in the universe. So after all this transpires, they decide they're going to try to get Lucas out of jail somehow from the future. So they demand that, like, that word be taken to the sheriff, I guess, of Lucas's 1520 village. I didn't fully understand this part where they're just like, let me talk. This is basically them from the future being like, let me talk to the manager.
Yeah, this is them carried out real quick.
Just,
I need to see the manager, please.
sir, this is a BBC.
So apparently this like works though.
Yeah.
So and I want more elaboration on exactly how this goes down in 1520. Like, are they just like, hey, tell the sheriff that they need to release Lucas, and then they go there to wherever he's being imprisoned, and they're like, some future message box person said that you need to let him out of jail, and they're just like, oh, all right,
You're right.
cool.
I didn't
Hey,
think
sheriff,
about it like
this
that.
this glowing box said to let Lucas out of jail.
You're
Oh,
right.
shit.
You're
Okay,
right.
What's
let's
that?
do it.
That's not
I'm a witch
witchcraft.
now.
You're right. You're also not talking to spirits, so we won't throw you in prison.
Yeah, this is definitely kosher.
This is different.
Nevertheless, that works though. Apparently, so
People were stupid back then.
Gullible is the word.
Yeah.
That's fair.
there was probably some bribery going on. But I guess this like sets Ken and Lucas up to be like best buds, and they and so Ken asks Lucas if Lucas has been like fucking around with his shit, if he's stacking furniture on top of each other, if he's building canned food pyramids, and apparently, according to Lucas, it's not him moving shit around in Ken's timeline. These same sorts of weird happenings and shit are also happening to him in his red sandstone house back in the past time. And so they've both got some sort of poltergeist thing going on.
This is not confusing
Two
at all.
ghosts.
Not even. Nope. Not even remotely.
Yeah, this is where I feel like this is the part in like every analog horror where they're like, I'm going to start, I've run out of ideas with my original timeline and I'm going to start expanding the universe.
Yep.
This is the expanding the universe arc of this.
Absolutely.
So anyway, long story short, Lucas asks Ken to move the computer to the kitchen so that it will be within the confines of Lucas's original house, and put a piece of paper next to the computer so that Lucas can start writing on the piece of paper.
Doth thou have quill and ink? No, dude, it's 1985. No.
And allegedly, when Ken wakes up the next morning, there's like some really well-written text on the piece of paper that he left by the computer. And in this note that Lucas has written on the piece of paper, he discloses clues about his actual full name. So he says that part of his name is from the name of his friend, of Ken's friend Peter's house. And so Peter lives in a close by town called Howarden. And so they assume that that is part of his name. And they're able to, Ken and Peter are able to track down the name of a man called Thomas Howarden, who had attended Brasenose College in the 1530s. So that puts this Thomas Howard in around the same time period as the books and the time period that Lucas was claiming to be from. And so all of this transpiring seems to really upset this entity from the future. So the entity from the future starts basically threatening Ken and Peter and Debbie. And so it leaves, or they or him or whatever, leave this message on the computer. One more chance, measure frequency by +2 energy. What else other than sound and light? Ken, Deb, Peter. We have reason to believe that Lucas Weinman's true name, that you have Lucas Weinman's true name. If this is correct, you must say so that we can rectify the problem immediately before it is accepted. So now they're playing time cop.
They really started this off with like, we must build additional pylons.
Yes.
Like,
Just fucking
we need
immediately.
+2 energy. Like, what in the StarCraft?
Yeah, what in the StarCraft is this?
So it seems like they've pissed off this 2109 entity, this future person, and so they decide to basically just stop talking to the future and just communicate with Lucas.
Fuck it.
and the
Doesn't
past.
exist. Nope. No more. Future doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. So they figure out that the person from 2109 has actually been intercepting and tampering with the messages that are coming from the past, trying to cover up Thomas's true identity so that Ken and Debbie don't actually know who this person is that they're talking to. At some point in these communications, they're given the name and a phone number of someone that they're supposed to contact. And this is where a man named Gary comes in. Mike, you got the Gary deets.
I got the Gary deets, man. So we come across
I
this.
fucking love this man. Can I just say this?
We come across this man. His name is Gary Smod. Interesting fellow, this Gary Smod. It's my one joke. So,
Oh god.
one.
The BBC Micro runs on the original Source engine. Where does Gabe Newell come in?
Gabe developed Lucas. Lucas. At 2109.
He was a character model.
Yeah. So one night.
Is this LucasArts?
Oh my god. So one night, I'm dying. Oh, showtime, Michael. One night, Ken logged on the computer and he saw that 2109 left him a new message. And the message reads as followed. We ask you to do the following. There is a brilliant researcher, ufologist. We know you don't like the word. His name is. That's what they're called. It's not called.
It's a ufologist.
It's not called UFO. It's legist.
ufologist.
It's ufologist.
Is it really
It's
ufologist?
Yes, it's called an ufologist.
Oh, I hate that. I didn't know
It's the
that.
proper
they
way.
specialize in all things oof.
Oof.
Oof is right. Fuck.
You see a man trip? Oof.
Oof.
So, anyway, there is a brilliant researcher, ufologist. We know you don't like the word. His name is Gary M. Rowe. Mike Rowe. His ideas differ somewhat to yours, but
All back to the
nevertheless,
BBC.
he can help you with a couple of your problems. Oh man, I
I
should have
thought
said
you
the
were
other
talking about
voice.
Micro from Dirty Jobs.
That's what I was saying. Mike Rowe and his micro BBS.
Penis and his micro penis.
I should be doing this in the other voice. Hang on. Let me get some water. This voice is a good one. All right, ready?
Are you going to advertise a Ford F-150 to me?
I
or
might.
something?
Deferred F turn 50.
Deferred F-10,000.
His ideas differ somewhat to yours, but nonetheless, he can help you with a couple of your problems. You may phone him at the number below and invite him to talk to you. When he comes, show him this and ask him what he makes of it. Peter must do the telephoning. Tell him that you got this number from a UFO enthusiast. 2109.
Enter
Anyway.
Gary.
Enter Gary. So this motherfucker just shows up at fucking the Meadow Cottage and he's got all this fancy pants technology and equipment. He's got like the Ghostbuster, like the toot 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 thing that they use to tech ghosts. He's got the fucking Zach Bagans fucking IR laser Xbox Connect camera thing. He's all ready to go. And so there's this like series of messages that's going on between Gary and 2109 directly. It's just those two. 2109 asks Ken to print off the messages without looking at them and give them to Gary inside of an envelope that is sealed up. This ended up with, after like, I would say days of this going on, or at least several hours at the minimum, Gary ends up writing a message back to 2109, and this is what it says. Good evening. I am instructed to apologize, but in any event, I would have done so of my own volition. There will be a letter hopefully this weekend. I am also instructed to apologize to Ken and Debbie. I must try and answer your last letter. It would appear that you are more important than I had realized in the scheme of things. Gary. So
that's a good Gary voice.
Thank you. That's all I thought. That's what I thought he would sound like.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes. So, something in one of the messages between 2109 and Gary causes Gary to be like very hush and like paranoid kind of
he clams up.
Yeah,
like clams the fuck up
about like the things that are inside of the messages that were taking place between him and 2109. This causes Gary to just fucking leave. And I was right. It was the same night. It was a couple hours.
It was a couple hours.
And Gary was never heard from again. This guy kicks in the door. He's like, I'm ready to go. And then...
I'm an ufologist.
Yeah, I'm an ufologist. I'm ready to go. And then reads a couple messages, responds back, and is just like, all right. So I'll bill you.
So what did they say? And he's like, all right, later.
Yeah, he's just like, see you later.
See ya.
So fucking 2109 is just like, hey, find this guy Gary. He's very important. And then Gary shows up and is just like, hey, I'm Gary. All right, that was Gary. Have a nice night.
Yeah, pretty
They're
much.
like, what the fuck was the point of this? I still don't understand what the point of this guy coming to the fucking cottage was.
Well, it was the amount of messages that were sent back and forth between Gary and 2109, because he was there for a couple of hours, basically just talking to 2109. And at one point, he decided to start printing off all the messages, and he instructed Ken and or Debbie to just hand him the pieces of paper being printed, but also to not look at them. He was ordered to.
I like to imagine that only Ken was involved in this point and like didn't even inform Debbie. And Debbie just comes downstairs and is just like, who the fuck was that? And Ken's just like, that was Gary.
That was Gary. That was Gary.
He's an
ufologist.
And she's just like,
Okay.
I feel like that's a response that Lori would give, like
Honey?
if some random dude, or the first time that Matt showed up.
Who's that?
Who the fuck's that?
Who's that man? Go to bed, dear.
Just go to bed.
Adventure. Well, speaking of, I guess, messages, we kind of come across our last bits of messages here. So, Ken, first off, do you want me to go over this? Does anyone else want to go over this?
Go ahead, man. If you don't want to, I will. But
all right. So Ken here starts to, I guess, continues his word, communicate with Thomas, formerly the artist formerly known as Lucas. And he talks about these details about how Thomas talks about these details about how he found the box of lights, which is the computer. And he says that one night he saw this like glowing light coming from the fireplace in his house, and a dude just pops out of the fireplace and is just like, he pulls
does he have a red hat, and is he fat?
Maybe he pulls a C. Montgomery Burns when everyone thinks Montgomery. When
Santa just fucked up and delivered a computer to the wrong house, in
Wrong
the
dimension.
timeline.
Shit.
But this guy pops out of the
The elves were
fireplace.
supposed to sit on this stock for another 500 years.
Damn it.
It wasn't Al Gore. It was Santa that invented the internet. Back in the
Santa
1500s.
is Al Gore.
Yeah, but this guy comes out of the fireplace and he pulls Mr. Burns when everyone thinks it's the aliens, and he's like, "Do not be afraid of me," and they're all like, "Kill her!" But he asks him, don't be afraid of him. And then
They kill him.
they kill him, yeah. And then almost as soon as he came, the dude just leaves and he just disappears. But he left behind
It's
the
King
computer.
Ramses from fucking Cowardly Dog.
King Ramses, the man in gauze.
Yes.
But as soon as he came, he left, and he left the box too. Thomas then realized that the strange and glowing box printed out the words that he spoke on green letters on the screen. So on March 21st of 1985, we send Thomas his final message. I'm sorry, Thomas sends his final message. My bad. This is translated by Peter.
Yes, we're getting out of the 16th century English
It's still there a little.
a little bit.
It goes like this. My truest fellows and sweet maid, Grosvenor has said that Thomas must go. I know it is for the best because the people of Dodleston are very wary of me. It is good to know that all will change and there are true men to follow like Ken and Peter. Though 400 years is a long time and there is so much to happen to mankind, perhaps you will come to Oxford. Now I think there is no danger for me there, for I hear the king is very sick and all is quiet at the church. I shall go by boat from Cheshire to Bristol. I shall try to make my stay at Brasenose. I will write my book about my brothers and maid and the end of Lucas and out of love for one another. One day you will all sit down at my table for wine and meat by the river in Oxford, where we shall read each other's books and laugh, and we shall speak of truth and good men. Watching Oxford change together forevermore. In your time my book is old, but I shall not go. Not yet I shall not go to my God until it is written. Then we will all be able to truly be embraced. My love to you all. I shall await you in Oxford. Thomas Hawarden. So, soon afterwards, there was one final message from 2109. And it says, there is another person to come. They will be the help that we need. You will know them when they come. Thomas did eventually write his book and soon died. Shortly after, he placed it in a secure place. It shouldn't take too many years to find it, though he wrote it in Latin with the help of a friend that he met at Oxford. The inscription reads, Me writes this in the hope that mine fellows will one day find this book. Then may our lands be not so distant. We will finish now. You have a lot of work to do. There is no need to write back, as we will be gone. Thank you for your cooperation. 2109. That's the end of
That's
it.
That's
the whole shit.
the whole thing.
So, TLDR, man gets computer, talks to dude in past, talks to man in future, future man and past man, connected by destiny.
Book wrote.
Past man write book. Yeah, it was an interesting one.
Yeah. I liked it.
The mysterious thing is
the book.
The book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What book is he talking about?
This book that would tie everything together, that would
Supposed to.
ensure that this wasn't just a hoax.
Yeah.
It would
that would
add-
lay all of our
prove
doubts
it.
to rest.
It would prove
Yeah.
it.
Guess where this book is? Who
Fuck
the fuck knows?
That's a very good question, Matt. Who the fuck does know? The only people that might know are Thomas Hawarden and fucking Ken. Those are the only two people on Earth that I can imagine know the location of this book, if it's real. If we were to find the book, there's 4 places that I would start looking. The first 2 are to be Ken's house and the structure underneath Ken's kitchen. That would be my first place to go.
Or it's in a hidden library at Oxford.
Or it's in Oxford, or it's at
A hidden library.
What was the fucking
Brasenose.
Brasenose? Yeah. It's at one of the 2, Oxford or Brasenose. And
Yeah.
to me, anyway, just because a university says they don't have a book doesn't mean they don't have the book.
I've seen National Treasure. The
I know.
president's book was hidden in the library.
Well, the librarian at Brasenose also said that those books that Lucas said or Thomas should have been there weren't there.
Yeah.
So they're either hiding books or there's another hidden library in like a basement or something.
Or
like Mike said.
some shitty fucking students decided to check them out and not return them.
Or
Oh, yeah, probably.
Hitler's, or
This fabled book that Thomas wrote is probably just chilling in somebody's nightstand
Chilling on
somewhere.
Stu's nightstand.
Hitler's youth book burnings. They burnt the book. It's gone forever.
There's also that, but did they no
In England?
they wouldn't have burnt books in the UK.
I think it depends on where you are. We're burning books in America.
Well, yeah, we also exist in the fucking.
Yeah, but
we
I
also
don't
exist
think
in the
Hitler's youth are
1500s.
doing that.
No, I don't think they are either.
Mm.
They probably did a lot
What
of
they
book
want
burning.
you to
so
think.
honestly, actually, but that was Germany though. That
Okay.
was like, I don't think Hitler ties into this, Mike. Unfortunately,
That's just like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Nancy Reagan.
Well,
Man,
shit,
no.
I thought we were gonna have a lot more time to like speculate wildly. Do you
Well-
guys have any theories on where this book might be?
I truly
Or what's in
believe
it?
it's in a
I
hidden.
have theories about what was going on,
Go ahead.
but
Let's hold on one.
So-
do we have any theories
Okay.
about the book or where it might be?
I
aside
think
from
it's
what
in a
said?
hidden library in Oxford.
next to the Holy Grail.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
the Holy Grail. The book itself
Yeah,
never existed. It never existed. There's no book.
well, this is a perfect time to do real or fake it. I think.
Is Mike okay?
His face is turning real red. I know you can't tell on the camera, but
The book is in Mike's sump pump. We should go down there and find it.
I inhaled a goldfish.
hey, we might take a trip down there. Who knows?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, we're waiting on you.
I inhaled a goldfish.
Yeah, where's the book?
I just said it's in the
Smack
Oxford
that
Library.
Fights back.
Where's the book, Mike? Where's the book, Mike?
Am I being interrogated?
Where's the book, Mike?
Am I getting waterboarded?
Jason, he knows where the book is.
He knows where the book is,
He knows where the
right?
book
He's fucking running.
is.
You're still in his driveway, right? Cut him off.
I'll pick him up. I'll pick him up on the way out.
Perfect.
Chris Hansen's waiting for me upstairs.
Do you guys want to go over?
Have a seat.
I see you're already sitting.
Did you send this email about this book? No, I didn't send that email about this book. On March 4th,
Is this your penis?
and I quote, this is your penis in the book.
Proof. Proof. Do we want to go over if we what we think about this whole story? We want to be real or fake? I know you two are both looking at me like, God, you're an idiot, but I think we should do it.
All right, let's do real or fake, and
Okay,
then I want to hear
let's
Mooch
do it.
theory.
Yep.
All right, I'm go. Yeah. Real or fake? I go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Real.
Fake. Dude, I didn't hear an answer from you.
I was thinking and I forgot. It's fake. I got lost. The ADHD took over.
Instructions unclear.
Shit, what's the word for fake?
I know
I
it
didn't,
starts with
even
an
hear
F.
I didn't even hear what your answers were. I just completely zoned out.
Mike said fake. I said real.
Okay. I want to hear Jason.
Okay.
I want to hear. You should make your case for why it's real, and then we'll try to debunk it.
I don't know if it's fair because I read about 30-ish pages from the vertical plane.
Vertical line.
Vertical plane.
Vertical line.
I'm literally looking at it right now. It's
Shit.
the Vertical Plane by Ken Webster.
Sir, another vertical plane.
The horizontal plane's the sequel. But no, so I read some of it, and he has almost all of the messages, or at least like the essence of them in there. And the thing that fucking I can't shake at all. Like, I understand that when we cover ARGs and we cover things that are very similar to this, there's always a way to research if it's like true or not. There's always some piece of information that gives it away, right?
Okay.
This one, to me, didn't have it at all. He got the major things, like the major pieces of history right, which that's easily searchable. But the thing that
Well, this
got me...
happened 35 years ago, 38 years ago.
Oh, I mean, even then, yeah. So it was harder to search, but we still had books about all this shit, which is, again, that's what they did. They essentially recruited help from a bunch of experts in whatever field they might deem necessary.
Top. Men.
top men. But like,
You're saying you're looking for like a gotcha, and nobody was able to be like, here, you fucked up here. Gotcha.
no one was able to at all. And even the thing that, like, they tried to with the like those minute details. They said that, like, how the fuck would,
Like the commas and shit.
like the punctuation. Sure, you can explain that away with mimicry easily, fucking very easily. The thing that got me though is the talking about all of the very specific things that happen to a very specific locale, but also not knowing like incredibly specific things about like the king. But again, why would you fucking know that? Like, you wouldn't receive
But
information.
these are things they were able to verify with books and stuff, though, right?
They were able to verify it, albeit a lot of the information was only able to be verified after months of fucking work. Like, it took months to fucking.
Yeah, but who's to say Ken wasn't just like playing stupid?
That's fair,
And
but
just being
like,
oh, I don't know where these books are.
I think my
Hey,
point.
boo-boo, where'd
I
you
think
get the
my point
books?
is more that like the amount of work before the internet existed that it would have taken to get the accuracy that these fucking messages had is
There was no
insane.
internet. There was no TikTok. There was nothing better to do.
There was nothing. You had to have access. You had to know about these books that existed in 1521. You had to have specialized esoteric information that only people that are classically trained in 15th or 16th century fucking literature would know about, and only if they researched their fucking asses off. Again, it took them months to find information that lined up with the things they were saying.
I mean, Ken seems like he's got a lot of academic friends. Who's to say he doesn't just have a friend who's well
just about
versed
to
in
say
this
that.
sort of stuff?
He did.
Who's
The
like-
very beginning of this story. There's a guy that works at his school, an English teacher who's well versed in the history of like this shit. And that
Right,
lines,
but
that-
like somebody else who's not connected to this, who's just like pulling the strings or like just giving him the info he needs to do this.
oh, so you're saying because like everyone that Ken knows is a part of this, that kind of like devalues it a bit.
Well, you're saying that like it would take a lot of time to research all the stuff that you would need to know to pull this off. But who's to say that Ken doesn't just have a friend who had this idea in his head,
That's
or
possible.
who already knew all this stuff and was just like, this is what you should write.
See, that is the other side of the coin, is that there is somebody that knew this very specific piece, like these very specific pieces of information that could pull something like this off. But again, this was spanning from like late 1984 all the way through mid 1985, right? In that time period, it wasn't until the very end of it that they found any of this shit out. And even then, 10 years later, when they went on BBC for an interview, like they were still researching shit. They were still learning more and more and more. And a lot of what this article talks about is the stuff that we've learned like since 1985. It doesn't. Not all of this was learned in 1985. The only reason we know most of this is because we researched it after the fact, and it took a lot longer than a couple of months to do it. So I don't know, that just coming from a person who cannot fathom dedicating like a year and a half of his life to finding, not only not being able to look up things at my fingertips because of the internet, having to go find very specific books that didn't exist all over the world, finding very specific pieces of information, albeit names, I guess, like names of people who attended college, names of people who lived here and there. The ones that were not able to be verified were honestly the ones that validated the whole thing for me. Because if you were to hoax this, you would have to use the internet, right? You would absolutely
I mean, it's 1985. Somebody could have like a VHS collection of like some documentaries or something, or like a
very
BBC.
niche.
Yeah, like a BBC VHS set that is like the history of 1520s
Right.
Oxford.
And so I can get behind that idea. It's just the timeline for the research it just blows my mind. It just blows my fucking mind that it took that long to literally verify that somebody went to like a certain college in a certain time period. I Googled, I found Thomas Hawarden. Like, I found his genealogy. He did go, everything that he said that he did in regards to education, his living arrangements, that's according to the genealogy page that I found, that's all fucking true. And
okay, but here's the thing about Thomas Hawarden is the instructions for finding his name were very vague. They were like, it has something to do with the name of Peter's house.
But again,
and so they may have just found this Thomas Hawarden in a book somewhere and been like, does this match up with something? And then like,
you are absolutely right. And this is where getting into the actual book by Ken Webster, The Vertical Plane, might help us a bit. Like I said, like I glanced at like the messages and stuff, and like there's a lot more information there. We could easily turn this into like a 6-part fucking episode. But
we can make a whole podcast.
There's no point in doing that because I think the reason that I think this is real because I want to think that it's real. Like, this is the one story that we've covered where there's enough doubt being sown in my mind anyway that like, and we didn't even talk about the ley line thing, did we?
No, I was about to say that.
Okay,
we forgot to mention ley lines and what they are.
We did. Go ahead, Moot.
Oh, ley lines are basically just these lines that are drawn through the earth exactly between two substantial points in history, like two significant monuments or two significant sites of like something that happened in the past. And apparently on these ley lines, it's extremely common for paranormal activity to occur, especially poltergeists, which is one of the things that one of the paranormal investigators mentions to Ken at one point. And so they discovered that Ken's house lays on one of these ley lines. It's
directly on top of it. And so, yes, it is. It's lines. It's basically straight lines between historical monuments or like landmarks or some shit. But ancient cultures believe that these ley lines were infused with arcane energy, which fueled the paranormal, fueled like the gods' powers. There's a whole history behind them. Whether you believe them or not, that's neither here nor there. That's an explanation in one vein, especially if you believe in that kind of stuff. But other than that, like I don't know how to explain this, and neither does anybody else, for that fucking matter. And that's the other part that gets me, is no one can give a concise like decision one way or another. You know what I mean?
So what's Moot's theory on this?
I mean, my theory, I think, is just the obvious, is that Ken or Debbie were just making it up, and they were just typing these files. Well, I mean, okay, so like the same motivation could be said for like anybody who I mean, people make elaborate hoaxes on the internet all the time that could even span multiple years. Like people write this basically just is an ARG.
Yeah. Is this the first ARG? Possibly.
Probably not. But
not?
I mean, it may be the first like technological ARG.
If you look at caves, you'll find caveman drawings of the first ARG.
Yeah, but like
I have a Google search to do later.
Yeah, the history of ARGs we should probably look at that at some point. But I mean, that could totally be the motivation. I mean, dude was bored. Dude likes dicking around with computers and just wanted to see if he could just hoax people into. I mean, my theory basically is that Ken was a hacker, in the sense that not like I'm going to hack into your bank account type hacker, but he was an early like, I'm interested in technology. I like dicking around with computers. I want to see what I can do with them. And I want to see if I can use my knowledge of dicking around with these BBC micros to trick somebody into thinking that something paranormal is happening.
That's fair.
And that even goes into like the part where like the supposed proof that Ken can't be writing these messages is the part where they type up the 10 questions and they don't let him see it. And then they delete the files, and then somehow, a couple days later, the future person responds. and like they theorized that maybe he was using microphones or something to listen in, which is bullshit.
my
I mean,
God.
there's no way he fucking did that. That's the dumbest
No.
explanation I've ever heard. What I theorize happened is they were like, well, we deleted these files so he couldn't have seen them.
I think
But
you're
what
right.
a lot of people don't understand is that when you
Yes.
delete a file on a computer, it doesn't actually go away.
Yep.
All it does when you put a file in a garbage can on a computer and click delete, it doesn't erase the data. It just tells the operating system that that section of the hard drive is now free to be written to. So the data is not actually gone. So if you delete these files, it's actually anybody who actually understands file structures and file systems and stuff, it's pretty trivial to actually go back in and find that data and recover it and read it again. So if Ken was spending a lot of time messing around with these computers, it's not not unreasonable to like think that he may have been able to go back, especially over the course of a couple of days, if
Yes.
he had enough time to sit there and do this, that he could
Easily.
have just gone back and recovered those files and read them.
Absolutely. And
So-
now that you say that, it also makes sense because like the technology that the public gets is usually about 5 to 10 years behind what actually exists. So
Right.
with that being said, anybody with any kind of specialized or technical knowledge of this new and emerging market of computers, aka
Yeah.
Ken, might have some insider knowledge into how to look at the background data, like essentially the BIOS
Yeah.
of a fucking computer, and read through like the data files and find out what's been logged and see what's been written. Who's to say that doesn't exist? So actually, now that you
Yeah.
say that, Matt, that makes a lot of sense.
Because this is very early personal computing, and like plus these BBC micros, I mean, the entire program was based off of like getting technology and technology education into the hands of everyday people and educators and students and stuff. So
Yeah.
like if I just think Ken was an early hacker is what I think.
That's fair.
But-
You make a very compelling argument. I'm still going to hold on to the fact that I think this is real, though.
Wow, you might be right. You're not, but you might be.
Okay, impart your wisdom.
What do you think, Mike?
Oh, it's fake. And you guys flew over the most obvious reason why.
Of course.
Okay,
There is a book.
yeah, we overthought it. That's what we do.
There is a book called, what is it called again?
The vertical
The
plane.
Vertical Plane. You know the old saying, if you hear hooves, you think horses, not zebras?
Yeah.
The man was just trying to sell a book. He had a great sci-fi idea, and he wrote a book. It was published in 1989. This guy had this huge traumatic experience that came into play. I just looked it up. It was published in 1989.
No, I know, but
And it
I'm
took
just
him
thinking timeline.
It
4
took him
years
4
to- 4
years.
years
later?
It took him
If this
4
was
years.
your intention from the beginning, 4 years is a long time to wait to try to capitalize on.
Is it though?
Yes.
And who's to say if this actually happened? Do we
6
have
months is a long
Do we
time.
have official record of any of this happening in 1985? Is there official record that you could pull up?
Yes.
From where?
Daily Mail.
Thank you. You cannot find a legitimate source.
I'm really unhappy that you asked me
You
where
can't
it's from.
find like a microfiche
No,
of like a newspaper article about man has weird computer.
I mean,
you can't find
do have
anything.
you have the BBC documentary.
When did that come out?
89, I think.
Along the same time as the
fucking
book.
Hell, Mike.
It's almost like that was his
all of these theories are really good, and I hate
You're
it.
saying none of this happened at all.
I don't think any
and
of it
all
happened.
This is just from the book.
I think he's a very smart sci-fi writer. And he had one book.
You think he's the new Orson Welles?
No.
Well, the old new Orson
No, because
Welles.
Orson Welles had more than one idea. I think this guy had one idea. He probably thought of more, and that's probably what the Gary thing was going to be. It was going to be a whole other plot. He had no idea what to do with it, so he just scrapped it. Gary left the house.
This was the expansion area of an ARG. You guys are
I
no fun.
honestly
I want you
think
to know that.
it was just. I mean, think of all the ARGs out there. 9 times out of 10, it's just to sell you something.
Oh yeah,
Every single
It's all
one we've
marketing.
every single one we've covered.
this is
is like-
America, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think it is?
I think it was just a story that got out of hand.
Okay.
That's all I think it was. He it's very possible that he could have had some sort of like small paranormal thing happen to him, the computer turned on when I didn't ask it to. It's a ghost. I can write about a
Ooh.
ghost. Maybe it's a time travel thing. There's my novel. Tippy typey, tippy typey. That's what I think happened. He was probably,
see it.
And at that point, 1989, that's when you had a lot of big sci-fi going on. Like think
Alien. That was
12
70s years earlier, but yes.
You still had these,
Aliens.
you had you had Stephen King in his prime time of horror. You had like Terminator going on at that time.
Yeah.
You had things like The Dark Crystal that was sci-fi fantasy.
Holy shit.
You had
Yeah.
all these huge sci-fi elements going
So
on.
has nobody ever talked to anybody else who appears in this story?
Aside
And, like,
from the BBC.
try to get them to corroborate.
Not to my knowledge,
Are you
but I
talking
could
about
be very
aside from
wrong.
the BBC interview?
No, I don't mean talking to Ken and Debbie.
Oh,
I mean,
you mean
talking
like
to
Peter
talk to Peter
or
or talk to one of these
John
paranormal
or-
investigators or
No, because very conveniently, they were never heard of again.
Yeah.
Remember the guys, the researchers, just
Gary?
like
Gary.
Gary.
Gary was never heard
Gary-
of
Gary
again.
fucking the ufologist. He fucking knows.
Gary disappeared.
Fucked off
There
and
was
said,
that
"Nope."
one researcher. Was it John and
John and
the other guy just disappeared, and John retired and was never heard from again. The other guy disappeared and was never heard from again.
I guess it is very convenient. that this made
Conveniently,
them leave
everyone
their
else
positions.
leaves. Yeah, like it's fishy. No, this is just a.
But
it
on
was
the
just to
other
sell a
side of
book.
that coin, you see people all the time in modern day leave their posts when you know what the fuck that means, or committed suicide in jail. Like you see that shit all the time.
You think this ghost Microsoft Word document was so traumatizing that these people just off themselves?
You know, now
the
that you put it
government
like
took
that,
care of them.
maybe. Have you seen Clippy? He's a fucking nightmare. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what else is a nightmare? Patreon.com/DeludiePod.
So one
yeah.
thing I forgot to mention
Yes.
that I should have talked about in my
This is the
section was that
longest.
apparently when they were getting distrustful of 2109, it upset 2109 so much that
Yes.
whatever paranormal entity is fucking with things in Ken and Lucas's house / Thomas decides to just move the fucking computer into the bathroom.
Oh yeah,
You put this in the kitchen? Well, fuck you. It's in the toilet now.
yeah.
Dick.
It got so upset.
Yeah.
It's gonna upset me if you don't go to Patreon.com/DeludiePod. It's gonna upset me if you don't go to DeludiePod.com.
/DeludiePod. It's not that.
It's
It's just
gonna-
Deludie.com.
It's gonna
Pod.com/DeludiePod.
it's gonna upset me if you don't go to any of our
Enter code
socials to get DeludiePod off your DeludiePod.
Matt, why didn't you add like 4 levels of security and redundancy to our website? That would make a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
just make getting into the website an ARG.
Just a fucking nightmare. Yeah.
On the website, DeludiePod or Deludie.com, you can find merch. You can find the links to all our social medias, which you can also find us on social media on like Twitter or Instagram at DeludiePod. Facebook is Don't Look Under the Internet. YouTube is youtube.com/@DeludiePod.
Just Google Deludie. It's like we're the
is
first 23
just
episodes.
do
of
that.
fucking
Yes, go
things.
to
Yeah.
Spotify, leave us a review. We're getting close to 500, and
Hell yes.
Matt is coming up this
Matt,
week.
is it your turn?
Matt's coming up this week, so if we
Oh,
hit
no.
500 by the end of the week,
I'm
which is a
already
bit of a
being signed up.
stretch, I have
We've
some
all done
plans.
Twitter takeovers.
I got some plans.
I mean,
plans.
I've been posting stuff to the Twitter this
You
week.
have. You've been seeing my sun
If you want
pump.
to learn about the world underneath Mike's son, go to our Twitter.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, I'm so
Yes.
excited for that. We have,
You could
we have
also
some
go
internal
to
storytelling to do.
DeludiePod.com/orthon, and you'll see a tooth come up on your screen. You could grab it. You could take it out of the screen.
Are you
and then you
creating
could
a
put
lot
it
of work
inside
for
of your
Matt
mouth.
right now?
And if you put it inside of your mouth, then you get a lot of power that is
not
unbeknownst
doing
to
any of
man,
this.
and it is only known to the eldritch gods above and below.
You should literally just
Jason, you have
turn.
anything to say?
You should make our fucking website turn into just a Rick roll at this point. Yeah, fucking stay paranoid, guys. If you get weird emails on your computer, just send them to your spam folder. I'm sure it'll sort itself out. Hopefully. If not, well, you wouldn't know about it
Or
anyway.
people from 2109 will start reading them.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the two. And if they want to read your spam folder, fucking, if it's anything like mine, let them, because I don't want to
Yeah.
at all. It's full of porn and, I don't know, bulk fish orders.
And
Matt,
those
what do you-
emails that claim that they have you on your webcam masturbating.
Yeah. Joke's on me, they actually do.
Yeah.
What do you got, Matt?
Turn your webcam on
Okay.
And if you're going to masturbate with your webcam on, make sure that you make eye contact.
Intense eye contact.
Intense eye
Prolonged eye
contact.
contact.
So that the scammers who use that to blackmail you later will just be too uncomfortable.
This is the. You know
That's
what?
my
Never
advice.
mind. No one should see this.
I got you on cat. Oh.
I've got the
Or they'll
weirdest
want to keep it
boner
for
right
their
now.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll want to keep it for their own personal
Same.
collection.
Exactly. Same fucking page.
Foolproof.
Well, goodbye, everybody. We love you. Lots and lots of kisses. Mm.
We will see you next week. Maybe.
Make sure you pick up a Bible and read it, because if we're being candid, Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior, is the greatest thing to happen to us.
Yeah,
So this-
Jason, kind of just
So,
stop it.
you
We're
know-
done. We are done. Goodbye.
You may be done.